I believe that the fires we're cast upon are the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling where our temples pray as one. I believe in the word of wonder and a kingdom for the saved.
Good morning or good evening, depending on where you're coming from. We're all kind of all over the place. Luke and I are in California. Leo's in Germany, and Hella is in Mexico right now.
Good morning.
I think we're all
What's
in the same
up?
time zone, except Leo's on a different time zone.
Yeah, Leo, what are you, 6 hours ahead, Leo? Or
9.
9 hours ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
we're going to do...
Sorry, I just got it. I just came home.
That's all good.
We're going to do some real quick Arnold updates. Hi Shubin just posted a wild update video. So he is going to be making it to the Arnold, and then we're going to jump into contest prep, and we're going to go through all the different ideas about best ways to do it. So real quick, I'm going to pull up the Instagram with Hadi Shupin. So this is the latest update that he posted, and he's looking pretty wild in this update. I mean, this
he looks shredded.
How many weeks, he's already
how many weeks we got? 4?
And his upper body, actually everything looks. What's that?
We got 4 weeks out.
He looks great.
Yeah, 4 weeks out.
Nice.
So he is. I think he's in Dubai right now, but he's already got approved. His visa's approved, so he's going to be making it to the Arnold.
Yeah, he's going to be the one to beat for sure. He's going to be at the top.
He looks like even like he put on some muscle since the Olympia.
Yeah, he looks fuller, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks really good there.
He looks like he could look like 24 again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be winning.
I don't think anybody can beat that.
Yeah, me neither. If he looks like 24.
I mean, Andrew's looking wild, and Martin just put up a crazy update as well. But I don't know. I don't think anybody can beat that. If he comes in,
Hadi has way more
just
quality
like this.
than those two.
Yeah, he's got a lot of quality.
Yeah. That's the free weights.
He's got everything.
The free weights the other guy's not doing.
Yeah, I agree. Free weights beats everything.
Well, he trains, kind of old school, high intensity, with the heavy weights, drop sets, and all that. I know Martin trains like an animal, but his combination of size and conditioning, thickness, and everything, I don't see anybody else has that.
No, he looks great.
Yeah.
My money is on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
like
I
would also, if I had to bet, I would bet on Hadi right now.
We'll have to do a prediction.
As people have been talking about, there was controversy surrounding him as far as like the whole Iranian situation. And I'm not going to get too much into the politics, but I know people supposedly had a picture on his phone of the Khomeini guy. I don't know when that was taken or how old or,
it looks like he's still limiting his comments.
But I think people don't realize. Yeah, nobody can comment on his stuff because he's getting he's got a lot of hate comments coming from the Iranian fans.
Honestly, I also think that we're reacting. I saw some videos where they're pulling his posters down from the wall and other
the way I look at it is he's not part of the military.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know too much about.
Well, it's interesting. The posters that they're putting up over his posters is another Iranian bodybuilder who got murdered in the protest. So, I mean, that just shows you right there. If he was to speak out against the government while he was there, they would have just killed him.
Yeah.
You got to be careful. I don't know what people expect him to do.
Yeah.
Also, like, people don't think, like, what's going to happen with his family if he does something.
Yeah, true.
Maybe they're just like, oh, Hadi, by the way, if you say something, we're going to kill your family.
Yeah.
Do you think, don't you guys think that's not something they would do? These guys that criticize Hadi for not speaking out, they probably wouldn't have the guts to say a word in his shoes. But they have no empathy. They're like the pseudo empathy guys that can virtue signal. I would have said this and this in my warm chair here over in LA on my couch. You know, I mean,
yeah, I agree. It like in those countries, it really has consequences if you speak out. And I understand that the people are like, well, he's a role model. Everybody looks up to him, and his word has an impact. But yeah, if you know that maybe your family is going to be kidnapped, or you're going to go to jail or get tortured or whatever. I mean, I would kind of also stay kind of diplomatic, you know, like not say too much.
I also think that most of the country, you don't have to convince anyone. Like, he doesn't have to convince anyone. Like, most of the country is against them anyways.
Almost like it's bodybuilding. It's got nothing to do with politics. Like, just let him be a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, now that he's outside of Dubai or wherever, he has made a statement that he's with the people and he's not with the government, and he never has been, and all that.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, while he was there, he probably couldn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's the one to watch. Like, he could take it all at the Arnold.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Let's move on.
I'm going to pull up real quick. Martin just posted a new update.
Yeah, his update was fuck bodybuilding media. All of them.
All of them.
That include us?
It also includes Fuad. It includes everyone.
Are you blocked by Martin, Leo?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, who were you blocked by? You were blocked by Samson. Was it Samson?
It's so funny when Fuad said, "Oh, Samson would never do what Martin does." I'm like,
yeah, I was thinking that too.
What did you do, Leo?
Well,
he just gave his
opinion. I'm not blocked by Martin. I'm blocked by Samson. I'm the only person who has that combination. I mean, like, it's just with Martin. It's just like I talk about him so positively, and then you say one bad thing, and you know he might cut you off completely. It's like, dude, Mike, how many friends told me that my hamstrings suck or whatever, you know? And I'm not like, okay, friendship ends here.
It is what it is. You know, in bodybuilding, you really can't be sensitive. I mean, it's like you're showing your body. You're damn near naked. Like, people are going to look at your body and have an opinion. Like, it's normal.
Yeah.
I feel like if your friends are telling you you look great and you got shitty hamstrings, then you don't have good friends.
I mean, I love positive, constructive criticism. You know, if they mean it in a good way. I mean, you know, like when people they're just trying to trash you, or they really trying to help you out.
Some kind of a statement.
Like, yes, sayers, you can't use that for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, yeah, you're great, you're awesome. Like, I'd rather have people say, you know, I think you have a great physique, but you should improve there and there. It's like,
yeah, I agree.
Great, thank you.
Yep. I asked people for criticism.
Well, I think he's reacting to, you know, that one guy that just trashes bodybuilders all the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Discord?
Shoot. Yeah, mostly Discord. They went on trash.
I hate that guy.
Talking shit. So I think he was responding to that.
It's the funniest thing what he said.
But not everybody's talking shit.
You know, the Muscle Discord guy said to Martin, this is a small kind of industry and you should watch what you're saying. And I'm like, dude, do you know what you do? You make everyone hate yourself. What are you talking? Like, you give Martin the advice you should give yourself, bro.
He's
Because
so
he's
negative.
destroying every relationship he might have ever had a chance of.
He is so negative. It's like I can't even hear
and
him
so
open
arrogant.
his mouth.
I'm
Arrogant,
the greatest here. By the way,
negative.
I've been in this game for 20 years, and I know what I'm seeing, and I have the best eyes in the game. Go get a hair transplant, bro.
Yeah.
Man.
No, I can't.
All right, let's get into the contest prep stuff. So, you know, when it comes to contest prep, I know, like, it seems like every coach has their own ideas about how to do things, and everybody has a different twist on it. And you hear, like, Chris Aceto has his certain ways that he does things, and supposedly, you know, he just tells people, you know, eat 5 ounces of this, eat 6 ounces of that. He doesn't calculate anything, it's all coming out of his head. He doesn't use any kind of calculators or measurements or anything.
I think if you have the experience and you've been doing it for like 40 years, I think you could do that.
Chris has
I think
more people that come. Like, not all his people really come in that great. The ones that don't come in great, he doesn't even like talk about them. But like his genetically elite that you couldn't fuck up if you wanted to, you know, those ones come in pretty good.
I think but let's give him credit. I mean, people fucked up Derek before, and Chris landed him at the Arnold's pretty well. So
yeah, I think he has good intuition.
I think he's the first guy, actually, without saying it, that was like calories in, calories out. Tell me your macros. Okay, stick to that. And then like, okay, we take away some. Okay, we put in some. It's just like, yeah.
You know, I agree, Leo. I don't think it always has to be so scientific. Like you know, I worked with Chris for 2 years, and he was an amazing coach. Like, because he has a great eye, and I think a lot of what makes a coach great is that they have the eye. That it's like, oh, Hella, you're flat. Let's do a high day. You know, it's like, oh no, you look full enough. We don't really need to tweak anything. Like, you need to be able to see, and not necessarily like, you know, I think people, if they don't really know coaching, they are so like, oh, we did 3,540 calories last week, so now we are going to cut 20 calories. So, you know, they have like this kind of like almost like a set plan how they want to cut calories. But if they fail to have the eye and really look what's going on, you know, like I think Chris has excellent eyes. Like, I don't care if he counts my calories or not, as long as he get it right. And he always got it right. I actually won one of my Rising Phoenixes under Chris.
Yeah, but what I think people don't realize about him, he has a degree in nutrition.
He even wrote a book on it.
And he's been doing it for so long.
I have that book.
I read his book, yeah.
In his head, he knows, like, you know, 5 ounces of whatever carbohydrate equals so many grams. So he might not be writing it all down and stuff. He just tells people, but he knows in his head what's going on.
And also what the thing is, what Hella said is he can diagnose. So he doesn't have to choose your food sources, but if he sees something, then he might ask, oh, are you having potatoes or rice? Like, what's your, you know, and then he would adjust it. But if it's working, like, keep eating what you're eating and eat a little less or eat a little more. And if it's not working, then he might start, you know, asking more questions. But if it's all good, like, why not just use macros? It totally works. Like when I prepped Urs first, I knew what he ate, but we also went by macros. I said, like, eat 50 grams of carbs more today or something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Chris always knew like what carbs I had. He would be like, yeah, you're on 200 carbs now. I think we should fill a little bit. You know, do this for tomorrow, and he would like send me a plan. And it was like sometimes I would even ask like, so how much more is on the plan? Well, then I don't have to sit and calculate, you know. And you're like, oh, I'm giving you like 200 like 200 carbs extra. And also some things that I liked about it, he would be like, you know, what do you think you feel like you digest best? Like, is it rice? Is it potatoes? You know, like, and those things make a great coach. Like, because if you don't digest well, you always bloated. There's some things that don't sit well in your stomach. I totally, absolutely believe that it will affect your performance. I think the gut health is very important. And he was very much about digestion, about not being like too bloated, stuff like that.
It can also be like an inflammation thing, you know? So it's like double.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I heard him say on a podcast, this was several years ago, that he didn't give guys cycle like recommendations for their prep. Like he was saying, like I think he was talking about like Cedric or Sean or something, and he was saying that he like didn't do that. So I was kind of curious if you could maybe like clear that up. Hella, did he like do your prep fully, or did you like do your cycle side and he just did the food?
I did my own training, but he did the diet and he did the supplementation, like the gear and everything. Like I had like really like a set plan.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
yeah, I knew clients of his where he like he gives out, but I think he just meant in that regard, Luke, that sometimes he doesn't do that with some people that like they know their formula and whatever they do, and they're like, dude, like it's not that, you know, keep doing that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think he also almost never interferes with training, but I bet if he has a very experienced person, then he would probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he usually sends at least his top guys to some trainer. Like Andrew was training with what's his name, the big black guy who trained Sean Roden, Chris Lewis, and now he's training with Kamal.
This Fabio guy, right?
No, he's training with Kamal.
Oh yeah, Kamal, yeah.
So he lets them handle the training because he knows like they know what to do with the training, and he doesn't even get involved in that part of it.
Wasn't he also coaching Kamal before? Aceto, wasn't he Kamal's coach?
Yeah, he's Kamal's coach. So he kind of knows what Kamal does.
I think he did that because he knows Kamal trains so hard that he knew when Andrew trains with Kamal, he's going to burn enough calories, even if he might skip his cardio or so. I think he did that to make him burn more calories.
So, if you're a Chris Aceto and you have that type of experience, I think obviously he knows what to do. He's been doing it so long and has prepped so many people. I personally, I start with a DEXA scan just to get a baseline of where people are as far as their lean body mass. And then I use a nutrition program. It's called VitaBot. And in there, I can plug in all of their macros and their micronutrients, and it adds up all the calories, how many grams of proteins, fats, and carbs. And they can also log their foods every day real easily on an app. And that's how we kind of keep track of things. And that way I can adjust things pretty easily, and I don't have to try to remember, you know, exactly what everybody's doing. Of course, you know, I'm going to make changes based on what I see, but at least I have a basic framework that I start with. It's not me guessing in my head. Oh, I think you're 30% body fat. You know, I think you're probably, or RMR is, you know, 2,300 calories. You get the DEXA scan, it gives you a baseline, so you kind of know where someone's at. I know other people, they just have people add up their food and calculate it out and kind of go by that. I don't know how.
There's definitely an aspect of you can be one size and you can burn significantly more calories that just a scan isn't going to tell that, like because of the metabolism. So, I mean, if someone comes to you and they're at like 1,800 calories, but they weigh 240 pounds, you know, I don't know if that's really going to be like the most
But your lean body mass determines your RMR, and your DEXA scan gives you your lean body mass, not your weight, but your lean body mass.
I think your thyroid kind of depends on that.
Well, I mean,
there's so much that plays into it.
Yeah, there's so much more. I mean, it's not a bad tool to start with, but like you have to use what they're coming into you with. Like, say they come into you and they're 200 pounds and they're eating 5,000 calories, and you get them scanned, and you're like, okay, well, your RMR says you need to be eating 2,200, and then you pull them back to 2,200. They're probably going to drop they're probably going to drop way too fast. Pull out their calories too fast. So it's not a bad method, but you definitely have to use your eye. You have to talk to them. You have to see what their metabolism really is. You can't just say this is a formula, because you're leaving out a lot of the variables. You're leaving out.
It almost doesn't matter. You can totally eyeball the first plan. You just see for a week how it goes, and then you go up and down.
Yeah.
And there you got it. It's like, who cares? Unless you're so bad at estimating how much this person's going to need, because you ask no questions. But once you ask a few questions, you can probably determine it. And if these people are totally clueless and they drink Coke all day and something, or they're not aware, then you tell them, write down now for the next few days exactly what you eat. Tell me.
I usually do that with people like if it's athletes, obviously I just ask for the diet. But if it's more like newbies or regular people, I say, write down for 3 days what you eat, so I have an idea. And I think also age plays a big role. I had 2 people compete last year. One was in her 30s and physique athlete around 70 kilos. And this was starting point. Maybe she was 72 starting point. Then I had a bodybuilder that was 90 kilos starting point. That was in her 50s. And they were sort of I think equally lean. Maybe the bodybuilders had a little bit more body fat, but it was the physique athlete, I dieted her on 3,000 calories all the way, never any cardio. She was ectomorph, super high metabolism. So she could have crash out eating days where she ate everything and her metabolism would just go up. And then the bodybuilding athlete had she was more endo, and she had a super hard time getting she was up to 2 hours cardio a day, low carbs. She had to suffer to get in shape. And that's how it can be. You can have, they had maybe 15 years, 20 years age difference, and then just 2 different body types. But the bodybuilders carried so much more muscle than the physique athlete, but the physique athlete ate more, didn't do cardio. People are so different.
Yeah. I definitely think that there is some validity, because Larry is getting a base point from the DEXA scan to kind of start with. I don't think it's the only way to do it, but it can be kind of a good place to start, paired with talking to them. Okay. How much are you actually eating right now? How much steps are you really getting in? So you can kind of build a profile about them. And then personally, if I'm going to work with somebody, I don't like to just start them on prep. I like to work with them a few months prior, so that I can maybe build up their metabolism. But if they're
I wish that was reality. People always come in.
The longer, the better. If I have one at least a year before, you can really do something.
Yeah, you can really plan it out.
Let me explain something. I don't just use the DEXA scan. In the program that I used, it has me put in their age, their activity level, their body fat percentage, their goal weight. There's a lot of more information that goes into there.
Okay.
And
you're just thorough.
Yeah, I'm good. Every detail is covered. And what I like about it, it adds up literally every gram of everything. And everything's calculated out. You can see for each meal how many calories, how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats. All the micronutrients are calculated out. At the end of the day, it's all calculated out. And then if I want to make adjustments, I can just go into the program and tweak things real easily.
No, the program sounds pretty useful for when you said it has a log in it, because the way that I do it is I just give them a PDF file of all right, here's the foods you eat every day. But I don't know if they're fully getting all those meals in or whatever. So if you have the log book as well, they could be logging it, and then it goes into the program, so you can see, okay, he skipped half of meal 3. He didn't eat his carbs on meal 4, whatever. So that is
they
a pretty
literally have, there's something called their favorites, and like for each meal, all the foods are in there. So they go on their app and they just click on the food. They don't have to type it out, and it just puts it in. Like they just click, and puts it in every time they eat, which takes about maybe 5 seconds. And then it just keeps adding everything up. And then you can see it tracks it every single day. And if they actually do it, you can see what they're actually eating, the foods that you told them, or if they're not.
Yeah.
And people that do it and they follow it, it's real easy for me to make adjustments when, if they're not losing weight fast enough, or if they're losing weight too fast or whatever, I can pull back or add more or do whatever. Versus me just like looking and guessing and trying to figure out. By the way, when people tell you what they ate, this is my experience, most of the time they're full of shit.
Yeah,
because they don't remember even what they ate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
if they are
and
like
they don't even know what the
newbies,
weight of something
they're
is.
total
Like,
newbies, but yeah.
Say that again, Leo.
Oh, I think only if it's like total newbies, then they have no clue, and that's why Hella and I said then they should write it down.
Yeah, yeah.
But you also have
I
to tell them like eat for 3 days the same way you always eat.
Yeah.
I work a lot with questions in my check-ins, so it's like I also make a PDF, set food and a set diet. Maybe I have some substitutions, or some choices that 50 grams of raw rice or 200 grams of potatoes is the same shit, right?
Yeah.
So they can choose, but then when they check in, I have did you have any deviations this week? That they can say maybe they skipped 20 minutes of cardio, or maybe they skipped a meal on Thursday. Like, how is their sleep? I even asked how was the week mentally for you, to see if there was any struggles. I have everything, like digestion, energy level, stuff like that. I like to know how are they doing, because people, they don't always tell you.
Yeah. Well, those are all important
Like
data
I
points.
said, I ask all those questions as well, but because I have them logging everything, I can just look at their screen every day or whenever I want, and I can really quickly get an idea of what they're doing or not doing.
And they're all following it?
Logging their foods.
Are they really all following it? Are they really all following it?
Yeah, well, the ones that are serious, yeah, they do, because they can't fake it, because either they log their foods or they don't.
Well, you can't fake it. You can log it and eat something else.
No. They can't type in their foods. It's already pre-programmed in there, and they just click add, and it just adds in what I told them.
Exactly, and you can click add and eat something else.
If they're lying, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. If they're lying, of course they're lying. But, the ones that are serious, they're not going to lie. They're going to, because they want to get results also.
Yeah.
Of course, if they're lying, then, you can't do anything about that, no matter how you try to track it, because they're going to bullshit you all the way through.
Yeah.
But I've had good success with it, just because I'm able to keep track of everything, and then I can adjust things really easily, up or down, or whatever changes I need to do based on how they're reacting from it.
Mm-hmm. What's that app called? Fit something.
It's called VitaBot. It's
VitaBot.
Like a lot of people use MyFitnessPal, but I like VitaBot because it's a paid prescription, but it adds up all the micronutrients from the foods as well as the macros. So you see all that.
MyFitnessPal, I feel like you got to kind of wade through all the information, because it's user generated. People upload what their foods are, and they can get those wrong. I mean, I don't know if it's better now. I haven't used it in a couple of years, but people could upload the protein way too high or fat too low, or whatever for foods. So that, it's you're trying your best, but your data isn't even useful.
Yeah, this doesn't allow. I sit down with them at the beginning and make the diet with them.
Yeah.
And I don't tell them what to eat. I tell them, okay, protein sources. We have eggs, we have beef, we have poultry, we have fish, We have dairy products if they can eat dairy products. We have tofu, things like this. What do you want for breakfast? And then I just calculate the amount based on how many grams of protein I want them to eat. And I go through each meal like that. And so I'm not really telling them, oh, eat this food. I say, okay, for greens, you have spinach, you have broccoli, you have Brussels sprouts, so forth, salad. What do you want? And then we just add it in. So I never tell like, oh, eat this food, because if they don't like it, they're not going to eat it.
Yeah,
I like with vegetables. I even go by calories. I'm like, eat that amount of calories of vegetables.
No, I tell them, I calculate the amounts. I just let them pick what type of thing they want. Like for starches, I'll say, do you want rice? Do you want potatoes? Do you want sweet potatoes? Oatmeal. What do you want for a carb?
Yeah.
I even always give them unlimited vegetables, because who's getting fat in vegetables, and how many calories can you really add? So like if it's off season, and even like it's until some point in the diet where I'll start restricting veggies. But it's like, even if it's going well in the diet and it's never an issue and they keep losing weight, why would I restrict the veggies? Just eat. Like, it's not that much calories in veggies.
I put them in there because of this reason. Most people don't want to eat vegetables.
Well, I give a minimum amount often. Like if it's off season, I don't really like, if people are really bulking, and I know that also for myself, if you're really eating so many calories and so much cream of rice and so much, and then you also have to sit and like chuck in 500 grams of veggies, like it's a pain in the ass. So I'm like, people can like get the green powder and the vitamins, and then as the food decreases, get more veggies in. But like if people are not on like a really high calorie diet, I would give them a minimum and say, your minimum amount is 500 grams. You got like, you choose yourself what you want to eat. I'm not gonna tell them that you have to eat broccoli instead of carrots. Maybe later in the diet I will adjust something, but I usually don't really care so much about that.
I usually ask them, and if it goes in line with what I like to use, then I'll use what they like. But if they kind of don't really do any, or they don't know, then I'll kind of just prescribe it. Or maybe I'll give them a couple options. Like if I want them to do greens, I'll say like, some spinach or some broccoli or Brussels sprouts, or just kind of like give them a couple options within that line, like the greens, and then that's usually.
Well, I do the same thing. I'll recommend, like, I like spinach in diets because it's high in micronutrients, and they don't have to eat a whole lot of it to get it. I'm not talking about raw, I mean cooked. And like they can eat like half a cup of cooked spinach, and that's going to give them almost all their micronutrients from vegetables that they need. Versus, eating 6 cups of broccoli. But if they absolutely hate spinach, then they're not going to eat it, obviously.
Yeah. So
it's just a tool, and I've used it for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, about 15 years now, and I've got good success with it. Like with regular clients, bodybuilding clients, it doesn't matter. The only things I change depending on what their goal is and where they're at, as far as like whether they need to lose fat quickly or not, is really the amount of protein. Somebody who's slow metabolism and has a prep coming up in 12 weeks and they've got a lot of body fat to lose, I'll go up to 2 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. Most people, it's like 1.5 grams on a prep, or if they're somebody that's like super fast metabolism, I can go higher carbs and go like 1 gram of protein. And that's just a judgment call that I make depending on their, the type of body they have. And I've had people that are all over the spectrum, and I'm sure you too, like Hella just mentioned, one girl is eating like starving to death, and other people, they need to eat a lot of food. I've had several clients where they could go on straight keto and high protein fat, and they're getting stronger and getting bigger all the way up to the show with almost no carbs because they have that metabolism. They just don't lose any muscle. Now, me, if I did that, I would just shrink away to nothing because I just burn calories too fast. So that just depends on, the person. But you can kind of figure that out pretty quickly with somebody, I think. Now, as far as like starting point, the length of the prep, one thing I like about the DEXA scan, it tells me how many pounds of fat they need to lose because it tells you how much fat you got on you. So if you do the calculation, if you want them at 5% body fat, and then they need to lose, 20 pounds of fat, I just automatically figure we need 20 weeks because you can lose about a pound a week. Roughly, you can lose more than that if you starve, but safely you can lose a pound a week without losing any muscle. If you lose more than that, you're probably losing some muscle with it. Now, of course, people drop weight quickly, but a lot of that's just water and muscle. So I try to, like, depending on how much fat that they have to lose, that's going to determine, how long the prep needs to be. Like for someone like me, I don't even really need a prep because I don't really ever have any body fat to lose. So my prep might be like 4 or 5 weeks.
Stay in striking distance.
Well, it's not an intentional thing. I just don't put body fat on. Just my metabolism, it's weird like that. So there's no like losing a whole bunch of fat. I might lose 5 pounds and then I'm there.
Yeah.
But other people, if they've got 25 pounds of body fat to lose, well, I need 25 weeks or thereabouts. I don't know how you guys decide. How do you calculate like how long should the prep be? I know people say preps are 12 weeks and this, that, but it depends on who you're working with and how fat they are to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I
don't think I would allow someone to start prep if they were like too fat. I'd be like, we have to do an off season where you're just getting to like a level where we can start prep if they're just like too much of a fucking mess.
Well, no, I have a guy that I've been prepping for like almost 3 years now. And he always comes in weighing like 230, between 230 and 240 at the beginning. And he always gets shredded at 200 pounds. So he's literally losing 30 to 40 pounds. But with him, I already know it takes 20 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
So we have to start 20 weeks out because that's exactly how long it takes for him to lose that much weight.
I mean, if you have an experience with somebody, then it's different. But if someone just came to me and they're like, I want to compete in July, and they were like 34% body fat, I'd be like, we might need to do a little bit of bodybuilding before. I really don't think if you're like above 15% body fat, I don't think you're a bodybuilder. I mean, I think that you're just like a power. I don't know.
Sloppy Joe.
Casual. If you're over 15, you're like kind of sloppy. So, I mean, like if you want to bodybuild, like you should eat like a bodybuilder, train like a bodybuilder, do your cardio, get your body where you're like, you nearly have abs, and then you're a bodybuilder. Then you can be a competitive bodybuilder effectively. But if you were just like, coming in at ground zero and you're 20%, like you need to bodybuild for a couple years to get your muscle up to a level, your body fat down to a level, your insulin sensitivity to a level where you're like, I would call you a bodybuilder.
Well, I had a lady, she was a IFBB judge, and she was my training client, and she used to bring people to me for prep. And she brings me this guy. He was a physique competitor, and she says, we have a contest planned in 7 weeks. And he gets his DEXA scan. He's like 20 pounds he needs to lose. And I'm just like, forget it. There's no way. I mean, he's not going to do it in 7 weeks. And she's like, well, we already registered. I'm like, I don't care. It's like, it's not happening. She goes, well, what about this one in 10 weeks?
It's unrealistic.
Yeah. She says, what about this one in 10 weeks? And I'm like, okay, I think we could do that. I'm going to really have to pull hard on his food. And I did. And I just pushed him super hard from the get-go. And he actually got shredded in 10 weeks. But I had to like literally go keto on him right
I'm
from the
also
get.
like, I always tell people like what are the options, like if people have a certain show in mind, and like you say, if it's not doable, I'll be like, that's not doable. If it is doable but you got to go super hard, I'll tell them, I don't think it's optimum to do it. Like if you really like have to do it because with whatever your vacation from work or whatever, it has to be then, that it's like, okay, if you're willing to go super hard, we have to start like cardio right away, we have to cut the carbs, you have to suffer to get there.
Yeah.
Then we can pull it through. But I would say for me, I would prefer, if it's like 20 weeks or 16 weeks, or like for most women, I prefer to have 20 weeks just because women, they lose fat like it's harder.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 weeks is like, I prefer if they're in a good, like close to competition shape, like a month out, because I like to increase the calories a bit at the end, or like decrease the cardio,
Yeah.
or like maybe even both, because in my experience, many
Fatigue starts
coaches,
to build up.
yeah,
That.
many coaches, they push super hard at the end, where I'm like, well, it's not a benefit because the cortisol is going to rise. You're going to get, sometimes athlete can get so depleted that you can't fill them out again.
They get that stringy look when they get too pushed too hard into the ground. Yeah.
So I calculate if we have 20 weeks, well, then it's like basically 16 weeks. And then after 16 weeks, they're in good shape. We can start sort of like taking everything down a bit, calming the nervous system, getting the cortisol down, all of that. So I'm always like, when I calculate, I add another 4 weeks to the prep.
Along the lines of what Larry was saying, I've had people want to do a show, and then I'll start them, but I just don't even pick the show. I'll just be like, all right, well, we're going to start on prep, and I'm going to look at how well you progress, and then we'll pick a show when I think you're in striking distance to do it. But right now, like if you're coming to me maybe as a first timer and you're a little bit too far out, I might just say, we're going to spend 2 months just kind of, seeing how you respond, getting everything kind of cleaned up, teaching you like some of the bodybuilding skills and techniques you're going to need to know, the fundamentals. And then, okay, you're progressing faster than we thought. We could pick this show in maybe 12 weeks. You're going a little slow, let's keep going. And then I like maybe at about like 12 weeks out, I can pick a show if it's somebody that's like just kind of like average genetics that I'm just kind of like bringing in. So it's hard when somebody maybe comes to you, like Larry said, and they're a little bit truncated time schedule. And then, they're like, oh, I got this show in like 10 weeks. I'm like, oh, have you started prepping yet? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, yeah, you're not in a very good position to be successful at your show. I mean, you might look good for you, but you're not going to look good compared to people that are like giving it their all.
And also, it's also a matter of skin. Maybe if you have like really super good skin quality and you're super young, but still it's like, you always get tighter if you have had longer time with your weight down. Yeah. And it goes for almost anyone. It's just like, it takes time for the skin to really suck up and get tight, So having time is like,
if you try to come down so fast, you might actually have like that extra just kind of like flap of skin like around your love handles or your stomach.
Mm-hmm. But if you see it many times also in the lower part of the back, or on women like on the glute, you have that extra skin,
a little fold.
And it's just, I mean, it can pull down, it's not ideal.
Well, I have a guy right now. This is my second year working with him, and he's going to do USAs in May. We're going to do the Cal first. I think the Cal's in May, and then the
it's the third week of May.
Yeah, and then the USA's in June or July, something like that.
Fourth week of July. Yeah, they're about 8 weeks apart.
So I already know this guy has a lot of muscle, and it's just about if he gets peeled, he'll get a pro card. I have no doubt. But he carries this fat on his ass and his lower back that's just like a lot. And it's just really hard to get it off. So we started prep first week of January, because my goal is to get him like ready to go on stage, like Hella said, 4 weeks before the Cal. And then we still have another 8
dial it
weeks. And we still have another 8 weeks to go to the USAs. But I already know, like, we need to be in shape 4 weeks before the show, rather than, because trying to crash course him, it doesn't work.
It works for the fewest people, really. Like, having time is really essential. Like, I also think a lot of people, they really misjudge how much fat they have. You know, I've had so many people come to me and be like, oh, you know, I don't have that much fat. You know, I think we can do it in 10 weeks. And I look and I'm like, well, you know, you'll be surprised.
Well, that's the thing about the DEXA scan. I mean, they can say whatever they want, but it's right there. It tells you how much fat they have.
True.
So they,
Let's,
there's no arguing with that.
Let's transition into some other prep topics, not just nutrition. I think you had in the description you wanted to talk about protocols and maybe training and stuff.
So let's start with training. My philosophy on training is whatever built that muscle in the first place, you kind of got to stay with that as long as you can. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is if you built that muscle with heavy, hard training, high intensity with heavy weights, you need to kind of stay with that for as long. And when I say as long as you can, there's a certain part of the prep, the last few weeks, where you're dehydrating just because of the different compounds and whatever's going on, that you need to pull back a little bit on the weight and maybe even the intensity, just so you don't injure yourself. Mm-hmm. But up till that point, I need them training like hard all the way up to the end. And that's why, me personally, I don't add in any of the hardeners till 4 weeks out. Mm-hmm. I see no reason for it. I think people that are running Winstrol like 3 months, to me, that's just stupid.
Yeah, I think it's extra stress on your liver.
And also your joints, like your joints get so dry with Winstrol. And I think the risk of injury is much greater if you're on Winstrol for a longer period of time. It makes more sense, like maybe like I like to put in like an oral, like 10 milligrams, like for women in the last month. And then that's also why when they're starting to get more fatigued, you know, your muscle are flat, it's harder to stabilize. And that's when you're maybe like, you start doing like slower reps and more squeezing and stuff. But I'm also like, up until then, like the longer you can train heavy, the better, because I have exactly the same philosophy. Like whatever built your body, like try and stay with that for as long as possible. Then you can argue for the last 4 weeks, you have to be very careful of injuries because you're so dehydrated. You should be like dry at that phase. If you're not, you did something wrong with your diet.
Yeah. So we always know, like if somebody, you know, in the guys, somebody's using, you know, Test and Tren and Masteron, they start getting so strong, and then they might want to check in with you and like, oh man, I did a, you know, 315 for a triple on incline or something like that. And I'm like, all right, well, that's impressive, but you're starting to ego lift. We need to just keep your, like, if I don't care if you can do a lot of weight, like do it for 8 or 10 reps and show me
you're not a power lifter.
Show me that. Yeah. So they get a little excited. So I am in agreement with you, but also we kind of got to throttle those people from pushing too low on their reps and their sets, just because, you know, they start to really, like you said, they risk getting injured because they start getting dehydrated. Their body fat starts getting so low that they you know, definitely risk an injury. And probably all of us have gotten injuries through prep, like just being super careful, you know, and not being stupid. So like it can happen when you're not even doing anything ego lifting, you know, still get a little twinge in your adductor or like a, you know, this or that in your shoulder or something like that. So, and we're pushing hard, but we're not like going like powerlifting, you know.
I mean, how many times haven't people like torn something, right? Like there was like Jay Cutler tore his bicep one year. I think Ronnie Coleman tore his lat. You know, that was Nick Walker. Was it like a year ago, 2 years ago, the hamstring, you know? So, I mean, things get more brittle and you just have to be careful. It doesn't mean you don't need to go to failure.
I think Nick Walker even tore his just posing. I think he was just posing and he tore his hamstring or injured it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you start getting dry. It's just you got to be careful.
Yeah. So,
No,
Well, you
one
got to
thing,
know your estrogen. You got to know your estrogen. I think that's the
Mhm.
problem with a bunch of people. They think, oh, I'm getting dry from the windstroll or whatever. They're nuking their estrogen. They don't need the windstroll to have achy joints.
yeah.
They run around on zero estrogen, everything's gonna hurt. So I think there's like still guys. I still remember this one interview from Santi Aragon. You remember the guy?
I remember that guy. He had a great
His
physique.
coach had him on tamoxifen, anastrozole, and letrozole.
Yeah.
Oh,
What? And then they took
shit.
out the test.
I don't
And
even
like,
think anyone
I think
should
that
do
was
letrozole.
Cement Factory that had him on that.
the guy could have ran a grandma test into that week. He
Yeah.
wouldn't have had any estrogen.
Here's the thing about estrogen and water retention. You can only go to 0. Like,
Yeah.
if you're already like
You try to go below.
I'm already a low estrogen person. So if you put me on any AI, I'm gonna go to 0. Like I'm already at like I can barely make any on just like Masteron or Primo. Even at like 1,000 milligrams a test, I can barely make any estrogen. So if you put me on like a letrozole, like my lifts are immediately just dropping off a cliff.
How are your lipids? Are they bad?
Not too bad. No, my lipids actually stay decent, surprisingly.
Okay. Because my lipids, if my estrogen is up, my lipids are like, hell yeah, let's go.
Hell yeah.
We're good. Hell yeah. And when my estrogen is down, my lipids go down right with them.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. But I don't know. I think maybe I'm just kind of like maybe just a bio specific. Like I stay kind of in that like 17 to 20 range. So I'm like not like crashed estrogen, but I'm just not like I'm not.
Well, that's
quite
very low though.
I'm
really good with like 30, 35, 40. That's really good.
I've actually considered like trying to get my estrogen a little higher by maybe using like 5 milligrams of Dianabol or maybe using.
I know we talked about it.
Like tiny bit of
said get estrogen.
Yeah.
Get real estrogen.
Yeah, I could just inject
Dianabol.
I'll get some birth control pills and start taking those.
Or just justify doing a high test cycle.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hella remembers that.
Great genetics.
Back in the day, people used to say you train heavy, and then when you get ready for show, you do high reps.
Yeah.
Dave Fisher told me
that's
that.
what
that was like the old school.
That's what people did.
You know what?
I found for myself, if I actually did this with Nasser, and I just lost a ton of muscle.
Yeah.
So I might not go as heavy as I would the last 4 weeks, but I'm not going to go to like, 25 reps, 30 reps a set and just do a bunch of pumping either, because I'll just lose a bunch of muscle during that time.
I do use that technique, but I use it the week of. Like I use it.
Well, that's different. I mean, the last week, like how much muscle can you lose in a week?
Yeah, that's the only time. Like, I mean, my guys want to get in and they want to like lift, and I'm like, all right, well, let's do 3-4 sets of kind of these like more pump workout, because they're just like revving to go. They feel like if they're not lifting, they're not.
I mean, you don't want to cause inflammation the last week, so you're just pumping. It's like I just have people like,
and the risk.
I decrease the sets a lot. Like I just have them do like 2, 3, 4 sets depending on the muscle. Maybe 2 sets of bis, 2 sets of tris. Maybe for back they get like 4 sets or whatever. They just need to pump a little.
Yeah,
but for me it depends a bit. If that guy looks perfect the way he trains, I'm like, maybe just keep it in like, and if there's other stressors I can get rid of, if he did some cardio or something, then I'll like, hey, keep the training. If you look that great, like, if I don't want to adjust anything, but usually
like the most important thing in prep is if you're looking great 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, don't do weird shit. Like don't change all your foods and don't change all your water. If you're waking up every morning and you're like, you're peeled and you're great and you're full and you're everything, like don't change all that stuff,
But I think it's sometimes hard. I think we all made that mistake of like, you think you can get better and you're like, oh, I can get a little drier. I can get a little bit more shredded. And then after you realize fuck, I look really great 3 weeks out. I should never, you know. But you
Usually-
get so that's why it's
Same
good to have a
experience when you were
coach
working with
because
Nasser.
you get so like in your head, it's like I can get better, I can get drier, I can get more striations on my glutes, and then you end fucking things up.
Yep.
Yeah, usually when people do that, and I've done it myself too many times, you just get worse.
Yeah.
You don't get better. You, like you said, you fuck everything up.
Well,
I always say, like, if you try and chase that extra 5%, it's not worth it because many times you end up losing 15. It's just the risk is too great.
100%.
I think if you're ready 4 weeks out,
You're too early.
You don't have to change all. You just kind of tweak little things here and there. You don't have to make any drastic
you're a
changes.
little early if you're ready 4 weeks out. If you're ready,
Yeah,
ready.
4 weeks out, I would actually say it's a little early, because then you have to like maintain for 4 weeks. That can be like
When I
hard
say,
for the coach. Like as a coach, can be really hard. It's like to find that and not overdo it, and then all of a sudden the metabolism goes wild and they lose more, and you like, ah, shit. Like you almost get in trouble if it's too early. But better early
I'm
than too
talking
late.
about body
So,
fat wise. If they don't have to lose more body fat because they're pretty much there or close to where they need to be body fat wise, then you're just playing with water at that point in carbs.
Yeah, I like to do like high days. Like if I can do high days with my clients on the last month is the best because every high day is gonna spike the metabolism. So it's like usually it's like this. If you're in shape, after 3 days you're flat. That's the golden rule that I feel like 3 days you can go like on your normal low carb diet, and then it's like even some people 2 days they're already flat. So it's like I have athletes like, yeah, they probably get a high day every 3 days, like 2 days low, high, 2 days low. If they're that low in body fat, they can chew through the carbs, and it works wonders.
Yeah, I actually like people to grow into the show. So if we're ready body fat wise 4 weeks out, I can increase the food and they can grow into the show without putting on any body fat. I'm not saying, go crazy and have like massive cheat meals,
but
you
that
can
barely
add extra
happens.
food.
I mean, yeah. Unless you have someone who's pretty shredded off season, it barely ever happens that you're like too early, that much too early. People are also, I don't know, maybe it's just my clients are too slacky.
Yeah, but I'm saying ideally you want to have someone almost stage ready 4 weeks out. And then like you can add more food and they can actually grow into the show a little bit and then come in full and hard instead of, trying to get the last bit of body fat off those last 4 weeks.
For me, for example, then there's the thing that with water and such and GH, I could be ready 4 weeks out, but I don't look ready because I have to adjust my, but like sometimes, I'm usually like, for me now, I start 3 weeks out that I drop everything that I don't want to run into the show. So, because I realized that my water needs longer than anyone else's to get out. But then 3 weeks out, I might not lose a pound of body fat. But I look 5% more shredded. So you also have to kind of know how much is that person actually carrying in terms of water and what's fat and what's it going to look like once we drop that. And if you already do know that 4 weeks out, then you must have dropped it 6 weeks out. That like for a lot of people.
You guys don't use the pinch test?
Pinch test? What do you mean?
Pinch test. So I can when someone's pretty close to contest ready, I can grab their skin wherever and I can feel that by the texture and the thickness of the skin, kind of where they're at. If their skin is like cellophane thin, it doesn't matter if they're holding a lot of water. They might not look shredded, but if I feel their skin on their midsection or wherever, and it's really thin, then the body fat's low.
Well,
Yeah.
then you will never coach me because it's not going to work with me.
Why?
Because my skin doesn't look like what it is.
Yeah, and
I
you
look
don't have
so
to
much
look
fatter.
redded.
I look 5% more body fat. I dropped that in a
I'm
second.
saying it's not a matter of look. You can look. You can
No,
be
I
holding a
also
shit ton
feel
of
it,
water.
bro. I feel it. No,
So you're
no.
saying you hold water and your fat's low, your skin is still thick.
Yeah.
I think you can feel it though. Like I felt like on myself, like I like to kind of feel my skin actually when I prep, see how thin it is. And I have like I can feel like sometimes like nodules, you know, like you feel like little like balls of fat in
Mhm.
like certain places. So I know like when those little nodules disappear, then that's the fat disappearing. When it's kind of more clear, it doesn't matter if it's a little thicker and a little thinner. I can kind of feel like even like if you have water, Leo, it's like if you pinch like the outer skin, you can feel it's thin, and then underneath is the water. That's where it's kind of gets thicker. Like I can feel that out also
I've
with my
had my
hands.
skin on my abdomen to the point where I could pull it out and it was like cellophane. I could put my fingers underneath and see my fingers through the skin. It's that thin. Like it's
That's
transparent.
thin.
It's like I don't have any, there's nothing in there. And when I feel that, I know there's no fat.
How much GH are you running when you do that?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it does matter.
You mean as far as
Oh, it
water
does.
retention?
Oh, yeah.
I would say I've
People are
never gone
so
super high
different
on
with their water
GH.
retention on GH.
Yeah.
It's so different. Like, it's really tough. Like, I can really only tell maybe if I know that person for a long time, but otherwise I'd want them off for 2 weeks, and then I can really tell.
Honestly, Leo, I've like experimented so much with GH, like taking it out like 3 days before, a week before, 10 days before, and leaving it in. And actually, for me, I have like a very dry physique. And my biggest problem is like looking full on stage because
So you leave it in.
I flatten like this. Yes, I need anything that I look fuller
Yeah.
on GH. If I leave it in, I just need like a little bit of diuretics, like 2/4 of diazide. That's gonna take the water. Like there's no way the
Yeah.
water is gonna be there. So
But
me
you keep
leaving
the
in the
fullness.
GH, I keep
Okay.
the fullness. Yes, I keep the fullness, and I so many years took the GH out because everybody took it out. They said, no, you got to take it out. And then I had one coach that said, you know, try and leave it in. And I left it in and I was like, fuck, I stayed with that like
Yeah,
forever.
I
Because
can't do that.
for me, that worked. But I'm also
Yeah.
like, I just get flat and it's so annoying. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I get flat too, but when I take GH, I get this ankle edema. Like I can't walk on. I get fuller, but I get ankle edema. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that sucks.
Maybe it would work if I would find the exact amount of diazide I would have to take, but
You'll
then
come
I
on
don't know.
stage
Like
with
if
cankles or sock marks.
it's crazy. And today it's the first day where it's really good again. I got all my tests back,
Yeah.
and it's really good. And it seems like it's really just the IGF, the GH related, because all the numbers, everything's good. Heart's good, kidneys, everything's good. I'm like, oh, damn, good, great. But it also kind of sucks because like, well, now I can't ever take GH anymore without cankles, dude.
That
How
sucks.
much fluid and sodium are you taking in?
I don't know, but my albumin and my sodium, my potassium was all awesome.
No, I'm not
It
talking
was all
about blood
good.
work. How much actual sodium and fluid do you take in every day?
I don't know.
So
I drink a lot.
if
Maybe
you take
like
in enough fluid and sodium, even with GH or anything else, you should be flushing that water out. I find that people are holding water. Usually, either their estrogen is like really high, or they're just not drinking enough,
okay, so I'm
or
drinking
they
a
restrict
ton.
sodium, and
My
then their body holds.
my estrogen got higher. My estrogen doubled and my water
Mhm.
got out.
That's I'm just saying there's different factors that can go into retaining water, but I think just taking GH alone is not going to make you necessarily bloated in your skin. If you're drinking enough fluid and taking enough salt, your body will flush that stuff out.
Larry, that might work for you, but it's not everyone the same, and it's a common thing, and it's maybe not that common, but it happens. Trust me, it happens.
I actually did this on the same client that I was talking about that doesn't lose weight. We pushed 2 gallons of water and salt the last week of the show, all the way up till 2 days out. And he dropped about 8 pounds of just water, pushing more water and salt. He dropped 8 pounds.
So if I use more water and salt, it does the opposite. I use salt anyways because I'm not going to be like, well, just because of this edema, I'm going to go salt free. I'm not an idiot, but in my electrolytes are perfectly balanced. In my labs, and if I do more, if I did a lot of salt, Jesus, that edema, woo. And if you take steroids and GH,
let me explain something to you.
You're more likely to retain that.
You're right. If you're normally on a low salt and then you increase it, you're going to hold the water.
Yeah, you're telling me to keep it high. I know it's I get it.
But if you're pushing salt and water all the time, the aldosterone is going to be really low, and you're just going to pee all that stuff out. It's just going to flush through you. But if you change it, you're right. You're going to hold a bunch of water. So if you've been, on a low salt and then you take in a bunch of salt and water, you're going to hold water. But if you're normally drinking a lot of salt and water, that's not going to happen because your aldosterone's low and you're just going to piss everything out.
Yeah. So but I usually actually have a lot of salt and I have a lot of water and I piss a ton, and it's still I have edema.
It could be something genetic,
People are just different. Trust
me,
there's
something going on. I don't know.
Where some things are different.
Have you ever tried?
The more GH I take, the more ankle edema I have. I take it out, I don't have it.
Have you ever tried dandelion root, like long term?
I take it's not a kidney thing, but
but dandelion root.
But that's just going to make me cramp because I just use sodium. I just lose sodium and it's going to make me cramp. Dandelion, I use that always for when I was natural for the preps.
Right.
Do you get any like tightness in your hands when you're getting the ankle, or is it just your ankle?
Yeah, I started. So what I did, and I don't want to it's almost sad that it was so good, but all the questions I asked myself, I put in my labs into ChatGPT Plus, not normal.
Yeah.
And that thing asked me the best questions, the same questions I would have asked myself
to troubleshoot.
And he was like, he diagnosed it like it's just GH, can't be this, can't be that. Ask him, and he's like, oh, that's actually great feedback. That means blah blah blah. And it was like, dude, I was thinking the same. You're so right. Thank you. So it confirmed everything. Because I was
nice,
dude, I considered everything because I've been dealing with this a bit. Now I'm like, is it my heart? Is it this? Is it that? Is it? I tried everything, and it just confirmed it. And I mean, I lowered the GH. Now I just take peptides, and the water gets out. It's just
I mean, the most important thing is know your body. The longer you're in the game, the better you get because you learn how to read your body.
The body also changes
with the years.
Tricky.
I mean, you get older, even also for women, like perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Everything has also with men, like testosterone drops, all the markers drop. You gotta maybe troubleshoot some things. So it's like you gotta just be ready to adapt and read your body. And the same if you have a coach. I totally recommend if you think your coach is good, even say he or she doesn't get you 100% right for a show, there's no need to drop the coach, because he or she is learning with you. Like, as long as you say, okay, this is a responsible coach, is a good thing. It's not like he's just a bad coach and fucks you up, right? But if I've had coaches where it's like, said, shit, man, we missed the peak, but you know what? Like, I'm sorry about this shit, but we know now we're gonna tweak this so and so, and you get better together. Because everything is experience, right? And you can have something. Sometimes you can have something in your head that is like, oh, this and this should work, like theoretically, right? It should work. Like with Leo, theoretically, it should work to do this and this with GH and fat burning and that. And then you're like, even like you say, Leo, also you get flat easily. But it's like usually like the leaner you get, the flatter you just flatten out quicker. So if you're an athlete that gets really lean, you're likely to struggle with like flatness. So you could think, oh, you know, for me, maybe I would have thought if I was coaching you, Leo, oh, you know, for me, it works really well to keep the GH in. And then we try it on you. Fuck, it didn't work, you know. That doesn't mean I'm a bad coach. It's just I'm thinking, you know, this could work, but we have to try it. If we don't try it, we don't know. So if you say, okay, Hella,
but now,
up, you know, we'll do it differently. You know, you keep harvesting experience.
But now when you communicate to me, as you do, you would already know not to do it.
I would.
So
if
you would do it,
me, this is how my body works, I would say, you know what? The more information you can give me, the richer I am, right?
Exactly.
Because I have my tools, but I also have your experience with your body, and together we're stronger.
What I also want to mention here, if women are watching, that I think most of the coaches don't even realize like how much they should plan the nutrition according to the cycle. So like with low carb, rather, like the first, I don't know, week after you start bleeding, you could eat a little more carbs. And then like the latter part, you should eat a little lower carbs. Like things like where you're more sensitive and less sensitive. Like with men, we're so linear, it's super chill. But with women, unless you make them kind of linear by, you know, enhancing them, and I don't know how, like control, you know, but like especially like bikini girls or something, I feel like these guys are just getting like their diets and they're going to starve and do 3 hours of cardio and shit, and then it doesn't go forward, and then the coach is like, well, we just need Anavar now. It's like, sure, bro. Yeah, you sucked, and we make her do 3 hours of cardio and eat nothing, and now it's like, it's the Anavar that's needed. So
I actually think it's a really big problem for women, that a lot of women, they work with men that don't understand the female body. You know, not to say some male coaches do and with experience with women, but some men, they just don't know. Like, and it also when there's check-in and you have your period and you're suddenly like 4 pounds heavier, it's normal when you have your period that you're heavier. You know, it doesn't mean you have to like cut the carbs or whatever. And you know, just women react so much different. Like also with gear, like I'm on like 50 milligrams of test right now a week, and I'm having amazing results. You know, like I'm really like killing it in the gym and looking great. We don't need that much. And I'm even like a female bodybuilder, like on a higher level, you know. That's not to say if I were to prep, I wouldn't push in a little extra here and there. I mean, we are, you know, competitive pros, but I'm like, you don't need as much as you think as a woman.
Yeah.
All right. Something occurs to me, you know,
one thing I want to add to women. Get your labs on the second or third day after you start bleeding. And don't just get them randomly, because you have to compare them. And if you get them randomly, they could be up and down. You'd be like, this makes no sense. Yeah, because like you just got them randomly, and
that's true.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it can really have a big, especially if you measure the hormones.
Something occurs to me, you know, people think retaining water going into a show is a bad thing. And if you remember back in the like 90s, they used a lot more diuretics because they didn't have anti-estrogens or they didn't use them so much.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler himself, he was a water buffalo. The guy would be prepping on 1,000 grams of carbs a day. And he would hold shit tons of water, literally all the way up to like 2 days before the show. And then he would just drop a ton of water. And I know the diuretics are not the greatest idea because, you know, there's dangerous with that. But there's an advantage that people have by holding that water, because when you have that fluid in you, you're not going to drop muscle. You're going to stay fuller. And then if you just drop the water at the end, you'll get the condition. Look, you don't have to be looking in the mirror shredded just, 4 weeks out. It's actually a good thing to hold water up to the very end.
Because
the water conditions your lubricates your joints and everything else, so you can keep training and everything.
It kind of depends on the amount you're holding. I mean, if you hold a ton and you have high blood pressure because of it, it's like, congrats, bro. So like, yeah, a little bit to protect yourself. I totally agree. So don't nuke your like estrogen like too early and stuff. But you also, if you hold a lot of water, this shouldn't be your first show, because then you really don't know like how much am I holding. So you kind of have to gamble. So if you hold a lot of water and it's your first time, you might need a test run or something.
How close to the show are you holding it? I think if you're holding it until 2 days before and you have to lose a lot, then you have to use too much diuretics. And then again, it's hard with diuretics because you have to be really careful, because if you take a little bit too much, you just get too flat and you can't come back from that. So I agree with everything you say, Larry, but there's a way to get around that. And that's what I do with the high days, because basically you fill up, you get super full, you get the water, and then you deplete down a little. You get super full and you deplete down a little. For me, I have won titles on that, because especially like if you're an athlete that really needs that fullness, which I think most do, but I think some people hold it better than others, then it's this pumping effect. You are basically conditioning the body to carb load, because if you just go like low the last month, your body don't know what to do with those carbs because it's not conditioned to it. Even your gut enzymes, they will adapt to protein, and you will not produce many enzymes that break down carbs. So it's really important that you keep that water, like you said. But if you just have water the whole month, I think it's really tricky, because if you more work with the high days, with every person, how many days from you say you are super full to when you're flat again. You will learn that. So okay, these athletes need 2 days. These athletes need 4 days. Some athletes need a whole week to deplete. And then okay, so exactly how to time that. So you never have really a problem with carbing them up later. They're used to this pumping effect of like carb deplete. So the body will grab the carbs quickly because it's already conditioned to it. I think it's an excellent method.
No, I agree with
unless you're
and that way,
you need 1,000
you
anyways.
keep the water, Larry. You keep the water in the body. You don't have the high water like every day, but you're just kind of like high water, slowly taper off and up again. So most of the month, you do have a lot of water in your body.
No, I agree with what you said. I'm just saying people think that they need to look in the mirror shredded.
I always say to my athlete, forget about it. Water is a good thing. It'll protect your joints. Right. You'll be able to lift heavier. You'll be less prone to injury. Water is a good thing. Look at the fat only. Water, forget about it. That's we'll get shredded or like dry, the last.
And that's what I was saying. By feeling the skin, I can tell the difference if it's water or if it's fat. You can feel it. You can tell. There's a different texture and thickness versus holding water and fat. It's not the same.
Maybe you just touch your clients more, so you got better experience than
I'm just saying I can grab someone and feel their skin, and I can see as it's getting thinner or not.
Can you
as
also
the fat's
say
coming
Eskimo
off.
or white Caucasian?
What's that?
I'm kidding.
I mean, us who are online coaches, we're more like, I use the comparison thing, side by side. Okay, are there most races this week?
And you know what? That's one thing about like coaching people like from distance, like just through pictures. Sometimes like through pictures, you don't really see everything.
Yeah, of course.
I get videos as well. Like it's nice to see people moving.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, even through digital, you can't feel their skin. You can't. It's just different than in person.
It's like I'm always leaner than the guys that look super lean on Instagram. I always pull up leaner, and I always look fatter before. I'm like, you know, I mean, okay, they use filters and shit. You shouldn't use that for your coach.
Yeah.
I heard of people doing that though.
What?
Filtering the pictures to their coaches.
Oh no, that's horrible. Like, I mean, you only cheat yourself.
Yeah.
But I'll say, Larry, it is different. I've done both in person. I had a coaching company when I lived in Denmark. I would have like a group training every Sunday. So I would see them. They would kind of check in person and stuff. And then now I'm like basically strictly online. But it's like you learn different parameters, you know, like it's just online. You get used to seeing the pictures. You get so used to that client. You know what to look for. You know where they hold fat. And even like, I always say, like, if you do pictures, I'm sure you guys have experienced it too. The athletes will say, oh, I look better in person than I do in the photo. So I always say, well, photos maybe take like 5-10% of the cuts off, but you're still like, it doesn't really matter. It's just like, you still know where you got to take them to. You know what I mean? Like if you just get used to whatever tool you're working with, you get used to working with that tool.
I just had to laugh so hard. So someone like they're commenting and talking about the water, and someone's like Masteron dude, old school. I'm like, yeah, it's like not gonna do shit, but okay, thank you, bro. Apes, people still believe so much shit. He probably also thinks like, oh, it's great when the joint hurts. That's a great sign. And if the joints don't hurt, you're not lean enough.
Well, there is a definite thing when you put in certain compounds at the end, like Winstrol, Masteron, things like that.
Yeah, I say Winstrol is actually doing something with aldosterone. Masteron, I've never seen data on that doing anything to aldosterone, and I've not seen it.
Okay, all I know is when I add in Masteron, there's a hardening effect.
Yeah,
it's a dehydrating effect that happens.
You do
it's
get
like overnight.
You do get harder in Masteron, but I don't want people to like that they rely on it. You know, it's not something to rely on. It's something to add a little something.
Yeah, but it's not a fat loss thing. It's a water.
Yeah, it's weird though. I look my best without Masteron. When I take Masteron, I look like shit.
But again, it's individual. You know, some people will say, "Oh, I rely on trend. That's better for me." Some people say, "Oh, I have bad reactions. Masteron is better for me," and somebody else will like say something different. I mean, it's so like really individual.
It could be that the Masteron is making you flat, and that's why you're not looking as good because it
would definitely rather make me flat. And I mean, Masteron is not going to spill out my ankle edema. I can take 5 grams of Masteron. If I have this ankle edema that I have, I could take tons of Masteron that would do nothing to my ankles.
But I think also it makes a big difference. Like we talked about before, are you a drier athlete that like rather tends to be flat, or are you an athlete that holds really well to fullness? So, you know, you just got to know what every compound does, and then, you know, you gotta test it
Yeah,
out.
if you're a bubbly black dude, then Masteron won't hurt you.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It
in
just is
general,
that. So
though, those hardening compounds, because they pull water out of your joints and connective tissues and even your muscle fibers, I don't like to put them in until the very end because I don't want to be dehydrated and susceptible to injury. So I'll use them like literally the last 4 weeks, sometimes not even until 2 weeks out. Because
Okay,
they work right
I
away.
still won't believe that Masteron dehydrates you, but you keep going with that.
I've seen it on lots of people where they take it and they get harder, like literally.
I think it's more like a muscle hardening thing. I don't think it's like a water thing, but I think your muscles harden up.
But
And that can make
what's causing that to happen?
Yeah, both.
I think that
I question both.
the androgens, like
Yeah.
like if you take something that's more anabolic than androgenic, that's gonna maybe be nice for building. But the androgenic, the more androgenic factor it has, the harder you get.
I 100% agree with that, and I've
look at
done it
Hella
with myself and a lot of other people.
I just wanted to say,
Hella is almost only androgenic, and it makes you hard at the end.
I don't see, like, if you take Halotest, and why would you need like Master? Okay, whatever. You guys keep taking Masteron. It's expensive and fake.
You don't need, Leo, you don't need everything. You pick your stuff. Exactly. But I think also it's really wrong for coaches that just throw everything on you. You pick something, but not everything. And you pick what looks good for you. And that's why it's like, you got to have time to test some things out, see how the tolerance is, and also see the look. And you can totally do that, during prep also. Maybe you start with a Masteron and you say like, it's like they don't like it, or it could be many things also. The hair falls off. They don't, it's very high on DHT, the Masteron. So like, some people, they don't like that side effect. So it's like, you gotta test some things out, and then you put together your stack what works for you.
Okay, the guy says Masteron is cheap. So first of all, Masteron is not cheap anymore. Masteron is fake a lot. For me personally, when you say take your or choose your weapons, if you're someone like me that is like a Caucasian kind of type that gets really shredded, but tends to also be able to get flat, then I felt I still like Winstrol for the slight diuretic effect that it actually has. And then for the fullness, I like just the last 3 days, I'll just add in Superdrol because it's very toxic. But I think that can give you the fullness. So I try to get the African fullness with the German dryness combined with that.
I think Superdrol is a good pick actually for the fullness.
Yeah. So I'd rather do that than do the GH, because the GH with me is like, nah.
But it just shows again how different we are.
And that's also like, also for me,
one size fits all doesn't exist.
Yeah, for me it's also, I feel like trend gives you really and you don't need much, but gives you a pop too. So I never take that out. A lot of people take it out.
I actually think we're similar, Leo, in body type, because I'm also like, my body looks better on a little trend than it does on Masteron. And also, I haven't tried Superdrol. I had a coach that recommended it, and then
next time you do my protocol.
Yeah, I wanted to try it, but then I couldn't get a hold of it. Yeah.
I just to mention trend, I think trend has a lot of benefits as far as a prep in speeding your metabolism, keeping you strong, and all that. But what I think people do is they overdo it with the dosage.
Oh yeah.
You don't need a lot.
No, you don't.
I mean, I've messed around with like just 15 milligrams of tren acetate, and if you haven't been taking tren, that'll do the trick. Just 15 milligrams a day, but people are taking 400, 500, 600 more grams of tren a week, and I think at some point you're just building a tolerance to the stuff. Because if you haven't been using it and you just take a little bit, you'll get that effect from just a little bit of it.
Yeah, and you also won't get the negative side effects.
I mean,
Like if you're
everything
sleepless,
is
but you're on 700 trend, congrats,
everything is dose related and length,
Yeah.
cycle length related. So,
But also
So that's
we
another
still have
thing.
to,
Like I usually don't put that in till the very end, maybe 4 weeks out, because I don't like all the negative side effects. But if I use it right at the last 4 weeks, it's magic without having to take a whole lot of it.
I do the same thing, 4 to 6
It all-
weeks usually.
It also makes sense because a lot of people won't just like do just one show. So if you start 12 weeks out, like then you end up
Ooh,
being
it's
half
gonna
a year
be
on
a
trend.
long
So
cycle.
yeah, so you also have to see like plan according to your schedule. If you want to do like 3 shows and they're 2 weeks apart, that's another 6 total weeks. Then you might just start like 2 weeks out the first show,
Right.
So you also have to take that in mind because I see a lot of amateurs and they still do these 16 like these cycles where they start like 12 weeks out with trend or 16 weeks out because they're like, yeah, that's the length of the diet. And I'm like, yeah, and if you win the show, you go into nationals and then
Now the only thing
turn pro,
I've learned
Yeah.
that you have to be careful on trend with injuries, because I can say that the majority of my injuries like were bad. There was trend involved. And the reason for that is it gives you that instant like mind muscle connection, whatever it is, with the androgens, or just maybe you're more aggressive, but for whatever reason, you're like pushing more weight. And I'm not saying you're trying to push more weight, you're just stronger right away. And even though you're stronger, like able to lift more weight, your body's really not, everything's not ready for that. Like I know I've taken trend and like all of a sudden I'm pushing 3 more reps than I did the week before with
But
the same
also,
weight.
you get really strong on trend. Like, and
I know
that can
that's
also,
what I'm saying. There's this instant, but there's this instant strength that comes from the androgen that's not actual like your muscle strength. It's just a mind.
maybe I don't take enough. I don't feel like that. But I also
if
like
I take
it's
it,
also
I
in
can
prep.
like right away I feel more aggressive and I'm lifting more weight. And then I got to be very careful if I'm in a prep not to injure myself.
Yeah,
For me,
me
it's
too.
just like-
I also get strong as fuck, and it's always like we know that muscles get stronger quicker than the joints, and that's where you can get injured.
For me, it's kind of like when I'm in prep, I'm losing weight. I add in trend, I don't lose weight anymore. I just get leaner. It's like every time. It's like I even don't want to say it because now everyone is watching is going on taking trend, but
there's two times I can think of. One time I was a week out, or like I think I was 2 weeks out from a powerlifting meet. This was off season, like not dieting for contest, and I put in trend. And on my last deadlift day, where I was only pulling my opener, I tore my lat. It just, the only thing I did different was I put in trend. Another time I was again off season and I put in trend and I did heavy squats and then I went on the leg press and I tore both my soleus. And I wasn't lifting more weight than I had in the previous.
Your soleus.
I tore both of them on the leg press. I was hospitalized after that. I couldn't walk.
Leo, I tore both my soleus on the same leg press that Larry did it too.
Maybe it's the leg press.
Maybe it's the leg press.
It's a 45-degree leg press.
Which brand was it? Must have been a particular brand of leg press.
But the thing is, I wasn't.
But if you get
the
up,
weight that I was lifting was not anything that I hadn't done 100 times before for more reps. It wasn't. It was. I didn't increase anything, but for whatever reason, I took trend before that workout, and I was just like feeling like super strong. And I'm like 5 reps into the leg press, and all of a sudden my left one blows out. The sled comes down and crushes my other one. I tore both my soleus.
I don't train hard enough, guys. I never injure myself. I must be training not hard enough.
You are blessed.
But I'm
Injuries
saying
are the worst.
it gave me an ability to like push just a little bit harder than my body could handle.
But I think also, like somebody said, trend gives you a Superman complex.
Yeah,
I agree, Larry. It gives you crazy confidence. I mean, with trend, I don't know about you guys, but I get sort of this like I don't give a shit attitude. You know, like I just don't really give a shit about anything. Like, so I don't know if that plays a role that you're just like, I don't give a shit. I'll just lift this fuck, and maybe you're not like so careful about form or whatever. But I'm just like, I get a little irritable. Like people should not walk in the supermarket super slow in front of me with their cart and not let me pass. That just makes me so angry, you know. Like trend gives me that like I'm like boiling inside sometimes.
I think people start out too high with trend. Nowadays, people are I'll start my guys at like 70 milligrams a week, where years ago when I was starting it and coaches were giving it to me, they were giving me start at 350. I didn't raise up from there, but like I think that like it's such a powerful drug that you can do, 10 milligrams a day and it's effective. And then maybe like toward the end of prep, you can go up to 20 or 30 milligrams a day. You really don't have to go 350 and then 700 the last 2 weeks. You don't have to go that much trend for it to get the benefits. And then I think that people get a lot of the like anxiety, sleep issues, anger from just the dosage getting too high. I think if you keep it casual, that you kind of mitigate a lot of those side effects.
I'm not using high dosages, but I just think like women are more sensitive.
No, women are more sensitive
than men are.
I mean, you take 50 milligrams a week of TRT, which that's probably like 5 times more than you really like need for actual TRT. But a guy, if we took 50 milligrams, we'd be losing T. We'd be like,
I actually work with a woman who was like transitioning to a man, and she was prescribed tests from the doctor. You won't believe it. How much test do you think she was on from the doctor to transition to a man? Guess.
40.
20 milligrams. I was like, are you kidding me? I would not even use 20 milligrams. But I mean, I'm also a performance athlete. So.
I know like some HRT guys are like, you know what? Most women can totally tolerate 10 long term and they feel way better, but regularly they take like 2 to 3 to 4 milligrams a week.
You know what?
Like female TRT.
I have like females in menopause, and it's like this. So women also has testosterone. They have testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. I have my women who are postmenopausal on a TRT dose 20 milligrams. And it works. Like they tell me also the same thing that you said. They feel so much better, because when your testosterone crashes, and I've had that happen to myself because I'm also a little bit up there, and I just took a break for like 4 months, had my blood work done, and it was like 0.4. And it was like not even healthy to have it that low. So many menopausal women, they actually feel better on just like a little bit of test or a little bit of Anavar or something, just because the hormones, they're dropping just like males. They're also dropping for the females.
I wouldn't like generally suggest 20, but I think up to 10 is most women like.
Well, it's also different,
and they feel even better.
Like
of course.
If I have like a bodybuilding athletes, I'll do TRT on 20. But like I mean, I even put my sister on gear. She's 56, and also was like tired. She also has osteoporosis. I put her on like 10 milligrams of Anavar. I even put her on some Deca, because Deca is really good for osteoporosis. So like a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree. Someone we have to defend the leg press here. Some guy says leg press are useless. Even Tom Platt says so.
It's an exercise like anything else. If you do it right, I think it's productive.
Yeah, and I also think one guy commented, "Oh, everyone can put 20 plates on it." Yeah, if you do it like an idiot, everyone can put 20 plates on it. Like 5 years ago, I put the whole thing like it was full on in Gold's Gym, and now I just had 7 or 8, but I just go like twice as deep and way slower. Like it's just you can do the same exercise in so many different like ways that it's not even comparable. Like the tension on the muscle can be so much greater with 8 plates than with 12. So I think the leg press can be tremendous, and you can almost make a leg press almost like a squat if you have certain angles. You know, it will almost be like a squat type of movement. Like so, in that regard, you're just pushing in different direction. But this, I think that's a pretty stupid statement.
I just love like
Well,
how versatile it is, because I love to like go on like horizontal leg press for hamstrings, and I put the feet high, and I can really like engage my glutes and hams. And then like if I want to train glutes, I go on a 45 angle, and I kind of go like this and like press like just
That's what
one
Leo
leg
was
at a
saying with the
time.
squat.
Yeah, it's like you can do like so many angles. Like
I like the leg press because you can get a lot closer to your failure point on a leg press than you can on, say, a squat or like a lot of other pieces. Because something else, if you get to failure on a squat, you're like, you're falling, you're going down. But on a leg press, like, there's safeties, it kind of doesn't go down past a certain point. So you can actually push a lot closer to like your limit with a leg press safely.
Yeah. And then another thing, if people have like lower back issues, like I have some disc compression.
Yeah.
So the squat, I can feel that in my back because it pushes you down. With the leg press, I can go really heavy without having any lower back compression.
Yeah, my lower back hurt a bit today from my squats last time. So I just did 3.5 plates, but still.
Guys, we got a super chat question that we didn't see earlier. I want to make sure we get to it because he paid some money for it. So he says,
just want to give the shout out to the Hammer Strength Hack Squat. That's actually really good. I was surprised because Hammer Strength is always so linear. But
the Hammer Strength? I've never tried the Hammer Strength one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, me neither. It's not the huge one. It's like really big, and you can adjust it, the angle.
That's the like that is made by Hammer Strength also, but
okay, not the one that I use.
Talking about the leg press one. No, it's like a hack leg press. You like sit in it.
It's on my story.
You have to climb up it. Let me look.
Yeah. Oh, the tall one. It's like a ladder.
No, let me see what one he's talking about. Oh, I've never seen that one before. That's made by Hammer Strength.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh. Nice.
What is it?
It's a Hammer Strength hack squat. It's like a regular hack squat, but it's Hammer Strength. Anyway, this guy, James Posarita, is it true that you can use MOT-C for approximately 4 weeks before it begins to have the opposite effect in terms of fat burning, mitochondria upregulation?
I've never heard that.
I don't know, but I can just tell you, like, my brief experience using it the last few weeks. Here's what I've found. It definitely speeds up my metabolism, like immediately. Like I take it in the morning and I'm burning through calories more. And I find that I start getting a little bit flat on it. What I've found for myself is, like, if I just take it and I don't eat enough, I'll be flat. Like I take it in the morning and by the afternoon, I'm starting to flatten out. So, but if I take it and I eat enough food with a little bit of insulin, then that doesn't happen. The other thing is, for myself, I can't take it every day. It's my metabolism's too fast, and if I take it every day,
how often do you take it?
I'm taking it like 3 or 4 days a week in the morning, But when I took it like every day, after a few days, I was like just getting so flat and weak because it's just like I'm burning through calories too fast. As
So
far as like,
how long would you recommend to run the Moxie?
I don't know because I've only been on it for about 2 weeks, and
I was just wondering, like, you probably take it in cycles. So how long should the cycle be, and how
I
long
would
should it
imagine
off?
that your body probably builds up a tolerance to it, like anything else, over some period of time. I don't know exactly what that is, but the guy mentioned 4 weeks, and somebody saying Motzi is placebo. No, it's definitely not placebo. I'm not having a placebo. I take it, and there's definitely something going on there. It's not placebo. One thing that I noticed, like if you take it and you train, you feel like you have really good energy, but the pumps are not very good. For some reason, like you're just like, I think you're just burning through the carbs too fast, or something's happening. Where when I took the SLUP and trained, that was totally different. It's not, definitely not the same thing. But I think people with different metabolisms, I think like because my metabolism is already so fast, I have to be careful and limit myself to it. And also my Crohn's, it did cause my Crohn's to flare up after like 5 days straight of it. If I only take it like, 1 or 2 days and then stop for a couple days, that doesn't happen. But if I take it too much, I start having issues. So if you're somebody with a slower metabolism and maybe you need to lose a lot of fat, you might be able to take it every single day. It's different. Now, I know there's different protocols that some people take it like 2 times a week. I'm not sure why that is. I found that you take it and it works like right away, and it seems to wear off after about like, I want to say about 8 to 10 hours is where you're not having the same effect anymore. But I do know, like when I take it in the morning, I'll have all this energy, but by the afternoon, I'm tired, unless I ate a whole lot of food. So it's definitely speeding up your metabolism for sure. I would just guess it's probably like clenbuterol. After a period of time, your body probably tries to regulate and probably deactivate. So maybe you do need to take a break. I'm just guessing at that because I haven't done it long enough to say for sure that that's going to happen. But I know, like with Clen, after like 4 weeks or so, you're not responding to it the same way. So it's probably something like that, or any kind of stimulant.
I don't know if the Clen. Many people say you just lose the jitters because you get used to those, but the fat burning effect would pretty much stay. I would say maybe not to that degree if your heart rate also goes down. But I think if your heart rate stays up,
I've never gotten jitters on Clen.
It usually,
I've never gotten jitters on Clen.
Okay.
I've always had to increase the dosage over time because it's just not doing anything after unless I keep going up the dosage.
You do get used to it, but I think initially that could be like some tolerance issues you have to get over. Like I always get like a really bad headache the first week and then it disappears. And the same, like I also get the jitters. I just think like once the body kind of accepts it into your body and you get used to it, then those issues disappear.
I guess you might need to.
I still feel the effect though. Like I feel like I'm still like hot and you feel a little bit higher heart rate. So.
But over time, have you had to increase the dosage on your Clen to continue working?
Yeah, I always increase, like slowly though. Yeah. But it's like you feel it. I don't increase the doses if I still feel like I'm hot, I'm sweating more, those kind of things. Then I just stay on the same. But if I feel like okay, now I don't feel the effect anymore, then you need to up.
Well, when
with all stimulants, the effect.
When I've used it, I start with like 40 micrograms, and by the end of the 6 weeks, I'm like at 120.
I'm
Because
even
if-
like, I'm way sensitive to like stimulants. I will start with like 20, and I can be on 20 for like a month, really. Like, but
Yeah,
I'm also
I don't really
super.
like to push Clen up. I don't think it's necessary to go as high as people do. I go to like
Yeah.
start at 20, and then like for me personally, I'll end at like 40. Maybe for some clients, I go to like 60, but I don't abuse it. Like
I
see a lot of
usually
folks
go
doing.
to I usually go to 60. Like I'm really sensitive to stimulants. Everybody's different. Like even like taking a pre-workout after 3 o'clock for me is a no-go because I won't sleep.
Yeah, same.
I had 20 and 40, and then I even took it out because I'm like, come on, you can get shredded without it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. So yeah, I mean,
It's just a tool. It helps. I think
Yeah,
that people abuse it and
exactly.
they cause too much, like too much cortisol, too much issues with, shaking, and then like issues with their sleep and heart rate and
Yeah.
stuff. So I think that it's something that's like used as a crutch where you could just use it as like a tool, pepper it in appropriately. And maybe, like you said, maybe you don't need it, but maybe somebody does need a little bit just to kind of get them off the last little bit of fat. But
I would
just
like, if you don't use Motzi and Cauterine or so, I would rather use those two than Clen. And I think in combination, they would also even do more.
I
But
would
if you're
say,
already on those two and you still need some extra,
yeah,
I'll
the whole
also like
kitchen sink.
I'll also like emphasize in this conversation, like, I mean, I started competing in 1998. We didn't have all those things. We didn't have all the peptides and this and that. And we still got shredded because we relied on nutrition, training, and cardio. And it's like people just got to understand, yeah, we talk about all these things, stimulants and this test and this peptide. Really, what it comes down to is your diet, your training, your cardio. Be consistent with that. And then, like you said, Luke, it's tools like, you need it. If it's, I always say, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
If you don't need it, but if you're stalling and you're like, maybe it's better to add in a little Glenbuterol than do an hour of cardio, because that's extra stress on your central nervous system. You can break down more muscle, blah blah blah. So you got to kind of pick and choose your tools, but everything comes down to nutrition and training. Like, don't forget that. You cannot use this and this and that, and then you relax on the other fronts. You're never going to be good.
100%. What you're saying right there is, I think a lot of people may lose sight of that. They may get so into the drug protocol that they kind of neglect the training and the cardio and
because everybody is talking about it, right? Go on Instagram. They're talking about these. They're even like injecting on camera. Well, they're talking about these peptides, this gear, that the gear. It's like, it's part of bodybuilding, but it's like the smaller part.
I think the reason that the drug part is so popular is because there's so many facets of things that you could combine and do with the training and with the cardio and with the nutrition. It's kind of just like, do your cardio, like, whatever you want your heart rate at. I like it at 130. You might like it at 120, like whatever. And then with the training, train hard. And then with the diet, they're all different, but they're all pretty much the same. You're at like, a couple 100 grams of protein, maybe pulling back your carbs a little, keeping your fats moderate. So they're all like mostly the same on the diet, but then people are like, oh, well, you could use this drug and that drug. So I think it's a little more exciting to people, the drugs, and then they get in their mindset that that's the only important part because they're starting to see all that content, where we all know it's these like the fundamentals that are important. And then the drugs, like, it's an important part, but like it's not the only part. It kind of has to be married to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
What I find really bad is that so many hobby athletes, not even athletes, hobby guys are using that stuff. I mean, I've done my first, I don't know how many preps naturally. The biggest, like the most hardcore thing I used was yohimbine, and that was it. So, and no, like over the counter, I was in Europe. So over the counter boosters are like, they don't discuss caffeine. So there's not all this. It was really natural, like, and it was drug tested. So I really don't want to take a US supplement or anything. and I got shredded. And when I see anyone using Clen that is not competing or all these other drugs, I'm like, oh, man, just have a little patience.
Yeah.
And it's so unnecessary, man. And if you don't like adjust your diet properly, the Clen's not even going to do anything. Because like I see all these guys on Trend and Clen and all that stuff, and they're more chubby than I'm in my off season. It's like, shoot, like you can't cheat your pizza into a salad. I always say it's like it's so unnecessary, and people are so lazy these days. They want the easier way, and they don't want to train hard. Like, I think I told you before about this client that he didn't want to use free weights because of the tension. No, he was freaking lazy. And then, like, I had him on 350 test, and he wasn't even looking like winning a natural show. And then by himself, he all of a sudden he tells me like he's on Trend, Test, and Mastron, and it's like, dude, your arms are like spaghetti, and it's like these guys that he pins his shoulders all the time and gets these scarred up, bonky shoulders, and like these spaghetti arms come out, and it's like, bro, you really and now he's talking online about how to become a man and how to coach people. I'm like, oh my god, bro, you're such a wuss.
He skipped
Oh
he
my
skipped
God.
the important part about building character through training and a
Yeah,
physique.
no, he's talking about that
Character
exactly.
and physique
Like, for
through
real, like
training.
he's the fakest faker on the planet. Fake. It's like he's running the Truman Show, man.
One
Like
thing I
he
just want to
is in the
mention.
Truman Show.
I hate mostly when people like when they really don't know anything and they really believe they're the shit and they go on Instagram and then teach others and
Yeah.
they have no clue. And yeah, they're a coach after they just was a little influencer and I mean it's just it's so much damage because also like they influence other guys, especially young people. And what I really hate seeing nowadays is like 16, 17, 18-year-olds being on gear. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not necessary and you're ruining yourself. Like, they have so much natural testosterone and still like natural potential. Like, I truly believe in like exhausting your natural potential first and the high hormones you have when you're young. And then when you get older, and you say, I really want to do a show and there's no way around it. But
One
just
thing I just
taking
want to say.
something for looking great on Instagram as a 16-year-old because you want to be an influencer, that's just, I mean.
But it's really tempting. I don't know what I would do if I would be 16. It's really tough nowadays. I probably wouldn't be as stupid and go on like the biggest cycle ever. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I would even start testosterone. I don't know. I was with
But
16.
the
I wasn't
problem
the
is
most
also
clever
like
dude.
they're not considering their health. I think something
Yeah.
like considering your health comes with maturity. When you're young, you think you're invincible. Nothing can happen to me. And I think that's the biggest just terrible thing is like they don't care. They're not considering their health and they can really like get damaged for life if they are reckless.
When I started training, I remember I was deadly afraid steroids. Oh my God, dude, I'm gonna die right away. Like, no way. And nowadays, everyone and their mother knows about it, and they haven't even set foot in the gym.
But
when I went into the gym, I thought I'd get just as big as the other guys and just start training.
But also remember, it wasn't popular back then to say you were on steroids. Like these podcasts did not exist. Like nobody was talking about steroids. Like, I mean, I'm sure Larry, you're go a little bit more back like me. Like it was just not popular. Like everybody would say like, no, I'm natural. Like I'm not on anything. Like today, if you say you're natural and you're like, you can see you're obviously not. People think you are like so lame and so fake. And back then it was just like everybody would like deny it, because it was a taboo. You didn't do it. Like your sponsors would drop it. Like even the federation would be like, almost ban you, like not ban you, but you got kind of bad standing if it came out, and now it's like the whole scenario is just different. And I'll say there's both good and bad. I believe in education And I believe in like talking about things. You can advise, you can help, you can like, you know, just if people want to take something and they made up your mind, there's nothing you can do about it other than at least educate and teach them how to do it the best way to not harm yourself. But it also comes with a backside that is like, you know, I think a lot of people also get like motivated because they see everybody doing it on Instagram. It's so easily accessible. Everybody's talking about steroids. So how can you not maybe get tempted and you know, like, are we also partly motivating people by talking about it to try it?
Of course, in a way, yeah. In a way,
if people listen to our message and thought that we're just condoning it, like, I think that if you're an adult and you want to make your own decisions, yeah, but we're also saying like, listen to the whole message. Like we're saying like, you know, use it appropriately, use it at appropriate times. Like, here's the things that I've done that were wrong, that I shouldn't have maybe done this or that. Here's the things that I did do that were smart. So if they listen to the whole message, then yeah, but if they just cherry pick and they're just like, oh, well, they, this must be like the best thing. I'll use trend because he said to use trend. Then, you know, I think that's where people can get the message like misconstrued.
I think this is it's important when we talk about it that we're like, you know, you got to consider your health, and you should, just because we're talking about it, it's not like we're motivating people to do it. It's just we're just talking about ourselves and our choices. You know, and it's,
I think there's a ton of misunderstood information about, you know, people out there. Trend is like the biggest thing on the, you know, there's so many memes and stuff about trend, and then people are like, oh, I should take that. So then when we talk about like, no, you know, maybe just take, you know, some testosterone, like a moderate dose for your first cycle, people are like, wait a minute, okay. That's the actual information coming from professional athletes. It's not like just memes on the internet. So, I mean, people that want to do it, just like us, we wanted to do it. I think they're going to do it. I think that like what we're doing is a service for education. When people say do your research, I think this is part of doing your research, listening to a lot of podcasts where people are knowledgeable about it, have tons of experience. We're all coaches. So we, you know, they like maybe read a book about it. There's a lot of different like handbooks and books about the stuff. So like kind of understanding, you know, these things, maybe even reading studies. If you're like, oh, okay, what does Decadurabolin do? And how much, you know, is these people take in these studies, and what kind of results and side effects and stuff. So,
I mean, that's why I'm doing it, because I just want to just help educate people. Like if you already are taking something or you want to take something, you know, like I think having things out in the open and you can talk about it, you can have a discussion, you can learn from people who have the experience, both like good and bad. I think it's better than just hush hush, and because people are going to do it regardless if they have the knowledge or not. They're just going to buy it from some gym bro at the gym, and he's going to say, oh, just take 500 milligrams, you know. And you don't know shit. Well, so I like that all the information that's out here today, but it's like, still, I want to caution people. Like, I really don't think if you're not competing, you should. I mean, do you need to take something? And if you are,
I think it's fine to take something, but I don't think you necessarily need to take tren if you're not competing. I think like,
no. And you don't need 1,000 milligrams of test either.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do a pro level cycle if you're just like dabbling in it and. You know, for a couple of years. And I think you need to know the side effects, you know, like the long-term potential side effects of what you could do. Yeah, a lot of side effects may just go away after you stop, but you know, some of them don't. And you kind of need to make peace with that. If that's what you're going to do, you need to say, okay, well, the potential for my hair falling out and not coming back, the potential for my reproductive system not coming back. It does come back most of the time, but I've seen a couple guys where it hasn't come back.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need to kind of make peace with that before you go into it. And then, you know, not like get bitter about it if you made a poor decision with being cavalier about taking something.
Yeah, because we definitely seen people get really better and they turn their back on it and they're just like, oh, this is the worst and blah blah. Well, it's a choice you make, but you have to make an educated choice and you have to know about the side effects and accept that those are the possible side effects. And then you also got to know the health side about it, that you need to do your blood work. I'm even like here on the 19th, I've booked like because I mean, there are so many people that really has passed away or has had problems with their heart. And I'm doing the big like heart study here on the 19th, like where I'm going to get everything tested just because it's the responsible thing to do. And you got to like, if you're willing to take gear and with the possible side effects, you can't just bank on like, oh, nothing's going to happen to me, you know? No, you have to do the tests just to check it, just to be sure, just to, if there is anything, I mean, if there's nothing, is great. It's not like, oh, I don't need to take anything because last time my blood test had nothing. Well, good for you, but you need to keep testing because if something comes up, you can get on it early and you can take measures.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really important.
Larry, did you have a point?
Couple things I just want to mention. One thing with the MOTS-C, I'm not using it to get in contest shape or to lose fat. I don't need to do that. My only reason for using it is to try to increase my insulin sensitivity, period. And I'm using it to try to improve my digestion. I'm using KPV with it. I'm not using it for bodybuilding purposes, number one. Also, along the lines of you were saying, just recently, actually last week, one of my training clients sent me a post that there's a guy, he's a national level competitor, and he posted his cycle and he said, taking it to the next level. And he posted 1,250 milligrams test, 800 EQ, and 150 trend. And my client sent me this thing and said, what do you think of this cycle? And I said, first of all, I said, I don't know this guy's history of drug use. So I'm not sure like what he's done in the past.
He might be a poor responder.
I'm assuming he's taking more.
Was that Jason Coley?
No, he's just he's a national level guy. He has a podcast, but anyways, I'm assuming he's taking more because he said taking it to the next level. I think we lost Hella, but she'll probably be back. Yeah. Anyways, but I said to him, I said, listen, whatever he's taking, it's irrelevant to you because he doesn't train like you. He doesn't have your genetics, and his cycle background is probably totally different than you. And I don't even know if it's going to work for him or not. I mean, so far he's not turned pro. So whatever he's doing, it's not necessarily made a big difference. But he just saw, and I said, you know, there's nothing spectacular about the cycle other than it's probably a higher amount of gear. But I said, you know, when people make a mistake, they think, well, if Ronnie Coleman took X, Y, Z, and I do what Ronnie Coleman did, I'll be like Ronnie Coleman. Like, no, you won't. You don't have Ronnie Coleman genetics. You don't have Ronnie Coleman work ethic. So just because you take Ronnie Coleman's cycle doesn't mean you're going to be a Ronnie Coleman. It's just a matter of fact, it's probably going to not work for you like Ronnie Coleman's did. Actually, for sure, it's not going to. So,
I mean, 1,200 is a pretty high dose. That's, I mean, well, what is that over?
It was 1,250 test,
2,150,
800 EQ, and
you said 150 trend, but is that every other day? Trend. Is that every other day or total per week?
I think that
was total per week, I guess.
That's pretty low. I mean, that's an appropriate trend, but like way too much EQ and test. I mean, I don't know. He might be a poor responder. He might have done 1,000 and just gotten no results. So he might be having to push his numbers up just because he's.
I'll tell you, me knowing the guy personally, I'll tell you what I think it is. I think he's tried to win his pro card so many times and failed that he just thinks maybe if I throw more drugs at it, I'm going to have a better outcome. I don't really believe that that's going to, you know, make him better, to be honest.
Here's the power.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think that they can out drug or outwork genetics, and you can't.
I mean, your body can only respond to so much drugs, and the rest is training and diet.
Yeah.
So taking more drugs is not going to make you better necessarily. I've found that on myself.
That's a new gym shirt. No one outdrugs me.
I've found even on myself, sometimes taking less drugs, I get better results.
Yeah.
Lowering the dose.
Well, it's also less stress on the body, right? And
I think I've heard more bodybuilders say
that
what Larry just said than
body-
anything else.
if your body
More what?
works,
I've heard more bodybuilders say exactly what you just said. Like when I backed down my drugs, my body was less toxic and I started getting better results.
Yeah. Your digestion improves, everything improves, and then your training improves.
Yeah.
And then you add in some trend.
And then you just add in more training.
Just like that.
So, all right, guys, I got to hop off. I got to go train.
Yeah, I think we've gone long enough. Everybody, don't forget, like, subscribe, and give us whatever you want us to talk about for next week's podcast. You can Instagram it and put it in the comments. And I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
yes.
Good night.
I believe that the fires we're cast upon are the flames we shall become. I believe in a common cause.